What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on in NFL world? How you doing, Division Rivals? This is Steven Hyder, Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, guys, I apologize. I was hoping that, NFL Game Pass would have released the coaches' film by now, the All 22. They haven't done that yet, so as a result, guys, we're going to have to dig deeper into some advanced analytics. There's not too much I can do defensively yet, guys, but I can go into some more advanced numbers for you guys offensively, define a little bit about what I saw from the scheme, guys. So to begin with, let's just talk for a quick second about targeted, who was targeted, what we can learn from the targets, all right? So 7 players overall were targeted. So that was between Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Quez Watkins, and Zach Ertz. Devontae Smith led all players in targets with 8. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions. Jalen Reagor was the next, highest targeted player with 6. He was actually, from what I understand, a perfect 6 for 6 in terms of receptions to targets. Dallas Goedert had 5 targets. Miles Sanders had 5 targets, and then Kenneth Gainwell and Quez Watkins both had 3 targets. Zach Ertz had 2 targets. So, just a couple of notes that I noticed from the offense, which is, I'm not really diving into the all 22. There's some things I can't really discern from right yet, guys. But what I can say is that I thought the offensive timing was really good. So, just looking at the concepts and the passing routes, the way Jalen Hurts was syncing his footwork up to the receiver's routes, I mean, it looks like this coaching staff spent a lot of time making sure those things are right, and it showed off in the game a little bit, guys. I'm going to get into some of the deeper analytics and try to explain some of these numbers because it's easy to run with a number without context. So I'm going to try to paint the context behind some of these numbers, guys. Some other things I noticed about the Philadelphia Eagles was last season, pre-snap motion was about 18%. They're not tracking that kind of data quite yet, so I can't really give you anything from this season. What I can say is this, guys, is that from the TV copy, I didn't notice a ton of pre-snap, but without the all-22, I can't break down the exact percentage that was played in this game, so I don't know if we were above, under that. My guess is we'd probably be under that 18% marker, but hard to say definitively, guys. I do think that going forward, we might see some games where you'll see, more motion, right? That you'll see more of these types of concepts because what you're going to want to do in these situations, guys, is you want to test the defense's eyes, right? You want to test their eyes with pre-snap motion. You want to check the discipline of the defense. And, that's the way that you set teams up, to be quite honest, is with pre-snap motion at times. That's how guys can slip through and get open. If you got the team defense is focusing on Devontae Smith, if you bring a pre-snap motion, you can hit a Reagor. You can hit a Quez Watkins, or you can use Reagor as Quez Watkins to draw the eyes of the defense, those type of things. So I do think that I do think that Nick Sirianni will be pretty good at that. So we'll have to see when we get to that what happens. Now, breaking down passing depth from Jalen Hurts. What I will say is that Jalen Hurts threw a lot of passes from behind the line of scrimmage to under 9 yards. Okay, a lot of the game was played in front of him. So basically, his highest percentage of throws were short, between the line of scrimmage to 9 yards, which was 34.3% of all of his throws, and the behind the line of scrimmage was the next highest at 28.6. In total, guys, it was 22 attempts, 20 completions, 150 yards, touchdown, no interceptions on that one. Medium was his next highest targeted depth, so that would be between 10 yards and 19 yards, guys, 17%, 17.1 to be precise. He was 5 of 6, 68 yards on that one, touchdown, no interception. And then deep, over 20 yards, guys, 5.7% of the offense. He was 2 of 2, 46 yards and a touchdown. So going medium to the deep part of the field, he was 7 of 8 for 114 yards and 1 touchdown. Guys, keep in mind, you got to remember that defenses can dictate depth of routes and stuff. But I will say that judging some of the deeper analytics, this was a very, very well scripted offensive game plan from Sirianni and Steichen and executed by Jalen Hurts. And don't sleep on that last part I just said. Executing the offense is very important. And Jalen Hurts did that to an incredible, extreme in week 1. And that's why his ratings were so high. And he deserves a lot of, accolades for that. Let me just break down some of the stuff I can tell you about what happened. So I've already covered this before, but play action, guys, he was 8 of 9 for 73 yards and a touchdown. Non-play action, he was 26 of 30 for 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The screen game, he was 7 of 7 on the screen game, 85 yards. We hit a touchdown. That was a lot of the screen game stuff kind of divides into that RPO stuff, so tunnel screen, stuff like that. That one touchdown, obviously, being the Jalen Reagor touchdown. And then non-screen, so including play action and non-play action, but removing the screens, he was 20 of 28 for 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, an 89.4 passer grade. That's an independent grade given by PFF, guys. So I'm not saying PFF grade should be taken too seriously, but it is an independent and impartial viewpoint of things. So it's not me grading it. It's another database. All right, that's why I'm using it in that situation. 2 big time throws, no turnover worthy passes, and his average depth of target there was 5.8. What we can see is a lot of things played in front of him, a lot of heavy RPO stuff. But I want to point out some of the other advanced analytics that tell me a little bit about what was going on. To begin with, on no screens. So where we didn't have screens, that's where the sack came. So pressure to sack rate was 12.5%, which is not bad, guys. That's not bad. I mean, it's down from what his average was on the season last year. So it's not drastically down, but fairly decent, to say the least, guys. But I will say is when there wasn't a screen set up, so this still involves play action and non-play action passing. Without a screen set up, guys, his time to throw was 3 seconds, 3.01 seconds, which is high. I mean, it's high in comparison to some of the other quarterbacks. So in comparison, Patrick Mahomes was 2.76. Dak Prescott was 2.57. Daniel Jones was 2.6. You can look at, there's just a whole list of people, guys. Carson Wentz, though, to be fair, was higher than that. He was 3.06. Teddy Bridgewater was higher. He was 3.21 on that number. So, I'm sorry. I apologize, guys. He was 3.08 on that number. And then you got guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, who was, you take out no screen, he was 2.46. So, some of that has to do with the concepts and the scheme. And that tells you something, right? When you see that number, it tells me there's room for improvement here, right? He still needs to process faster. There's no doubt at a 3-second marker. But in saying that, it also tells me that there are some deeper developing things happening. And some of it has to do with play design, right? But what did shock me was when I went to play action. Because my first suspicion, guys, this is the way my mind works, was I bet you that number got driven up by play action. Well, it was only 2.51 seconds on play action because a lot of our play action wasn't really what you would traditionally call play action, like a real, it was RPO based more than anything, all right? 2.51 seconds tells me it was highly scripted, tells me that Jalen Hurts clearly read the defense quickly, knew what he saw, made a quick decision, made a correct decision, judging by the numbers, and moved the offense. And I think that's important to say because I think it's easy to skew some of these numbers without the context of what I'm providing here, guys, which is when you look at play action, it wasn't a result of play action, and he was pretty dang effective on play action, to be quite honest. So when you look at some of the other numbers, so non-play action passes, he actually had a 2.85 seconds time to throw number on non-play action versus play action. Screens, 1.69 seconds, and then the no screens, 3.01. My conclusion on this is it probably comes down to some of the concepts in which we're running. That's why I really wanted to see pre-snap motion, because sometimes motion-based stuff can stall, it can slow down the timing of an offense, right? But also, we played some 12-man, we played some 13-man. I don't know how much of that might skew the numbers. And that's where my next guess would lie, guys, is that you put tight ends on the field, they're definitely part of our better players. Goddard and Ertz are, but they're not going to run the routes to the same speed, as a Jalen Reagor, as a Devontae Smith, as a Quez Watkins, right? Now, I guess you could say the flip side here is that Dallas also played a lot of 12-man as well, but not to the same extent as Philly. In terms of 12 and 13-man accounted for as both. So, hard to say, guys. If I'm Coach Sirianni and I'm in the film room and I'm with Jalen Hurts, you're going to look at some things like this. But I can tell you this. When a guy plays as well as Jalen Hurts played the other night, and you can still kind of really nitpick this stuff, and this is really nitpicking, guys, and you can pull out things to improve upon, that's good. You always want to have some kind of constructive criticism to improve a guy's game. And Jalen Hurts is already playing at a ridiculous level like this, means it's going to get better probably. Yes, we can say that the Atlanta Falcons defense wasn't that great. Sure. But at the same time, I still think that Nick Sirianni hasn't pulled out all the tricks from the bag. I still think that Jalen Hurts is just going to get better as the season goes on. So, I don't know, guys. I have a pretty good feeling about what I'm seeing, from this offense so far, guys. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all's time and attention. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Like I said, guys, I thought he had a pretty good game. Just to break down some other stuff, guys. Overall, he had 6 attempts from the left, 10 attempts from the center, 14 attempts on the right side of the field. You might say, guys, some of this stuff doesn't add up in terms of the numbers. Sometimes they won't include throwaways on some of the numbers when you see the short, the medium, deep. There's a couple they might throw away just because they're not going to count them. And this really plays out more so not necessarily in the passing depths, but it more so plays out in targets where the targets won't quite match the attempts. Some of that's because they're not going to give a guy a target if it's a throwaway. But it is what it is, guys. None of these systems are perfect. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all's time and attention. Leave your comments down below, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next video.